Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicki Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride. In this episode, Ken will start us off with his review and updates of local tournaments. Then the crew will welcome a special guest, Howard Ward, to the podcast. Howard and his wife Kim started playing pickleball in 2011, and Howard is a USA Pickleball Ambassador. Jeff will tell you that Kim and Howard are one of the true first couples of pickleball in Louisiana. Jeff will give up his Burr Under My Saddle to Howard, who shares one of his own burrs under his saddle. And then Vicki will bring us her weekly shout-outs. Stay with us, it should be a fun episode. All right, folks, welcome aboard. This is the 25th episode of the Pickleball Crew, our silver anniversary, and we're really happy to report that we've got 200 subscribers. You'll also notice that we've got a fifth member here with us, Howard Ward, and we'll talk a little bit more about him later. But first, hot off the press, it's time for Ken's review of local tournaments.
Great. Thanks, Bud. Tournament update. So let's start with December. December 1st through 3rd is the second annual Boys Ranch Christmas Classic. This year it's going to be held inside the Fritchie Park Gym, where there'll be 8 indoor courts. There's going to be a social on Friday night, along with early check-in. Saturday will be gender doubles. Sunday will be mixed doubles. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen. There's already over 60 people registered. It's going to be a fun event, and it's for a great cause. The boys are going to be out there. They're going to be playing, and can't say enough about Thomas Hockard and the team at the Boys Ranch. So we're excited about this. The next weekend, December 9th, 10th, this will be the second annual Americana YMCA Pickleball Invitational in Zachary. So it'll be at the YMCA in Zachary. Also go to pickleballbrackets.com. Magnolia Classic will be helping to run the tournament. Chase Rigdon is the host, and he'll be there. This is a USA Pickleball sanctioned event. The following weekend, December 15th through 17th, is the Pickleball Jazz Pickleball Tournament. This is at Greenwood in Baker, Louisiana. It's $35. We'll get you 2 events. It's a long URL, so we'll put it at the bottom of the screen. Again, that's December 15th through 17th, the Pickle Jazz Pickleball Tournament. December 30th, we still have a save the date for the Crew Collision. I don't have any additional information on it, so hopefully we'll get some more that we can pass it along. Let's go to 2024, January 13th. So the Oak Knoll Country Club in Hammond has added about 5 or 6 events to pickleballbrackets.com. If you go to Pickleball Brackets and search in Louisiana, you'll see all the tournaments that the Oak Knoll Country Club is going to be putting on. I've made contact with them. I haven't heard back. I'm trying to get more information just to understand a little bit more about all the events and their facility. The one on January 13th is called Pickle for the Cure. It looks like it's a mixed doubles only one-day tournament, and it's $75 per person, and it looks like you're guaranteed 4 games per event. Registration is open and will stay open until January 12th. February of 2024, the 9th and 10th, back at Oak Knoll Country Club in Hammond, is the Hammond Pickleball $5,000 Slam. Registration is open now for this. It's $75 per person, and there's going to be a beginner, intermediate, and an advanced level. Now, this is men's and women's doubles and men's and women's singles only. Doesn't look like there's a mixed doubles category. Go to pickleballbrackets.com for more information and to go ahead and register for that tournament. Moving to March 24th, 22nd through 24th is the Pickle in the Dell at Cross Gates in Slidell, Louisiana. That's always a good one. We've been playing that one since we first started playing. That was our very first tournament. And now that it's outdoors at Cross Gates, there's more courts, and you've got 8 permanent courts there. And then they use some of the tennis courts as temporary courts. But it's a fun event, good competition as well. The next weekend, March 29th, 30th, is the Alabama Open in Clay, Alabama. They've added permanent pickleball courts there, and they always do a great job in Clay, Alabama. Finally, April 12th through 14th, it's the Young Life Organization and the USM Wesley Foundation Pickleball Tournament in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. This will be at Tatum Park. You get a free T-shirt. Friday night is open play, family night, gender doubles on Saturday the 13th, mixed doubles on Sunday the 14th. This is Marlena Mims' tournament. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. And for a tournament that's 5 months away, she already has over 50 people registered. So I would jump on it and become a part of it. It's gonna be a lot of fun there. We're registered and we're looking forward to it. If you have any updates or information you want to share, Bud will put the email address to send them to. And that's it for now, Bud, and tournament updates.
All right, Ken, thanks for that update. As you all noticed, Jeff is sitting in what appears to be a car. And just a little brief story about that. If you don't know it, Jeff is a professional fishing guide and works out of Venice, Louisiana. And occasionally he has to be down there for our podcast, as he is today. And the best signal he can get is what, Jeff, about a mile up the road underneath a cell tower?
That's correct. For some reason, it's not quite good enough at the camp, at the lodge. So here I am.
So he does what he has to do to join us. And Jeff, you've got a special guest here with us today. Why don't you jump in and introduce Howard to us all?
Yep. Most people out there are going to know this guy. He's been playing pickleball longer than the 4 of us, probably. Howard is from Watson. I met Howard at Pard's. A friend of mine that helped introduce me to pickleball, took me up there, and I met Howard there. And Howard kind of took me under his wing and has kept me there for 5 years now. And I always say that Howard is one of my mentors, probably one of my main mentors. So I just wanted to introduce Howard, and we're going to just let you kind of tell some of your pickleball story, Howard, to us, how you started and what it's meant for you and Kim.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the compliment. Being tagged as someone's mentor is an honor, and I thank you for that. Truthfully, guys, if you want to know, when Jeff came into our lives, me and my other buddy David Doty, some of you may know him. David Doty and I used Jeff as target practice when he first came out on the court. We kind of beat him up, and he'll tell you we did. But it was all part of his learning process, and I'm very proud of where he's at. He is a great player, and in fact, what's really funny is he calls me his mentor, but lots of times I go to him for ways to play the ball, better ways for me to play pickleball. He has actually turned it around a lot. So I think it's a mutual friendship. He's like my little brother now. I just wish I could write him off, Ken, as a tax break. I just don't know how to do that. I've been carrying him for 5 years. I got into pickleball. My wife and I, Kim, y'all know Kim. Kim came home one time in 2011 from Pard's, and she said, they got a new game they're playing called pickleball. Well, probably like you guys, when somebody said pickleball, you went, what the heck is pickleball? I could only imagine people standing around throwing pickles at each other. I didn't know what, I had no idea. So the very next day, I went to the gym and they were playing in there, and we were playing with wooden paddles. And do y'all remember Dale Smith? Ken, Vicki, do y'all remember Dale, Bud? Dale Smith is an old player. He has even time on me playing. He was in there helping people learn the game. And he put that paddle in my hand, and it was, if I can use Jeff's terminology, hook, line, and sinker. I was hooked, and I was so hooked and so in love with the game that I almost gave everything else, hunting, fishing, and everything else up just to play the game. Kim and I really got into playing. And in fact, 2 years later, I started the first, I initiated a first of 2 tournaments at PARDS in Denham, Parks and Recreation of Denham Springs. I know y'all been there. Y'all played there before. We initiated 2 tournaments back to back. The first year was 80 plus. We had 2 gyms, 4. We had 8 courts, 4 on one gym, 4 on the other. And the second year we went from 80 to 140. It was a huge response. Now back then, 2012, 13, we pretty much knew everybody. And Lafayette was a very, very strong teams. They had a lot of good players. Randy Duquesne, all those folks from over there, really strong, and they came out and supported us. So I really got into it. Tom Burkhardt came to me a few years later and wanted me to become an ambassador of pickleball. I was honored that he asked me to do that. I applied, and with his sign off on me, I was made an ambassador, and I've been an ambassador ever since. I think it's a great sport. I've been involved with it now for going on 12 years, and I can't say enough about the sport. I love it. I love the camaraderie. I know you guys agree with me. Ken, Vicki, y'all, and Bud, y'all agree. It's camaraderie and the friendship that it brings. I love the fact that Ken and Vicki's got their RV and they go to parks. they make the parks their home. I love that. Maybe one day we'll do that too. Also, I keep going on. I hate to keep going on by myself, but West Feliciana Parish came out. Y'all was up there. Didn't y'all play in the tournament? Y'all played there before.
Ken and Vicki did, yeah.
Yeah. West Feliciana, Miss Pat Hurton came to me years ago, and they were putting together their club at West Feliciana. And it was a very weak, small club. And she asked me to come up there and kind of get it going, and we did. And then later on, like a year or 2 later, we put on our first tournament. Her first tournament was the funniest thing. She had a tournament, and you had to be a 3-0 or less. Couldn't be any, because it was so they didn't want advanced players coming in. So
That's unusual.
yeah, it was. It was definitely a intermediate tournament, but it got like 50 or 60 players, and it was fun. Second year we got bigger. Third year we got bigger. I was the director of all these years. Been involved with tournaments, and I'll tell you right now, if you can get out of being a director, do it. Don't do it. It's a lot of work. And I'm happy to say their West Feliciana Pickleball Club is over 300 strong, maybe even bigger. Y'all been out there. They have 4 new courts. It's a great facility. I'm very happy with that. And then one other thing that I can mention about pickleball and my involvement, during COVID, as y'all well know, we were outside. We couldn't play indoors. So everybody was looking to play in driveways and this, that, and other. Well, I'm originally from Baker. And I was at my dad's house one time, and I visited there, and I went to Greenwood Park. And I noticed the Greenwood Park tennis courts was abandoned. There was nobody there. The leaves was stacked that high. So I had a friend of mine from the fire department that was a constable or park marshal, and I talked to him about it, and I said, can you allow us to play pickleball in there? We don't have any place else. And he gave us a key, and we would go in there. We could only play during the day. We taped our own courts. We brought our own nets, and that's where we started. And now we're, 400 strong over there. We've turned it into a pickleball facility. It's just a wonderful thing. I think it's probably one of the best places to play in East Baton Rouge Parish. And I'm very, very proud that I had just a small involvement with getting that going over there. So that's my pickleball story. I play. I love the game. I love playing with each and every one of you guys. And I look forward to many more years. If there's any problems with pickleball, it's the fact that we get older and we have a lot more injuries. So
For true.
that's
Howard, you were talking about playing during COVID. Over here in Lacombe, or actually out by the coroner's office, is a park and ride, one of these places where people can park their cars and carpool together. And it's not very well used. And way in the back, we kind of took a part of that, taped off 2 courts, bought some of that orange hurricane fencing, fenced it off, and we played pickleball out there for probably 6 months, every day.
every day.
Every day we played out there.
That's wonderful. Yeah. It was tough during COVID. People were looking for places to play, and people were scared to even be around. We had players that wouldn't even play outdoors because they were afraid of the virus. But yeah, it was a difficult time for pickleball, and I'm glad that's over with.
Absolutely. Especially from an indoor standpoint, too,
Yeah.
because we went to nationals. I think you guys were there at nationals, and quite a number came home with COVID. So it was kind of one of those facilities that just the airflow was not great. And,
I remember one time we were playing COVID. We were playing during COVID, and we actually brought a bucket with Clorox and water, and we would dip the balls in Clorox and water. We were doing, Ken, I know you say, but we did.
No,
That
you had to do what you had to do back then. Yeah.
yeah. And I can, and now it seems funny, but at the time we were like, we didn't know. So
right, exactly. The fact that you bring up sort of your grassroots efforts, because I think that's just remarkable where the sport is today versus where it was back then. And it truly hasn't been an organizational sports effort. You do have USA Pickleball that's been around for quite some time, but it's really been grassroots.
it really,
Has made the difference.
yeah, it has. When I first started playing, I could almost take a piece of paper and write down every player in Baton Rouge. I knew their names when I really got involved with it. We played in Cedar Ridge. Did y'all ever? Cedar Ridge was in Breck. Cedar Ridge was very popular. We had a little gym in Zachary. We would play on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And then a few of us would go out and play at Antioch. So it was limited play when I first started playing.
Well, where do you think pickleball's headed in this part of the state, Howard?
Well, I think it's only going to get bigger. You guys know that they just made an announcement the other day that they are going to install 12 indoor courts at a previous studio in Baton Rouge. Did y'all see that?
No.
Yeah, it was one of the studios that they made movies at. It was right there off of Airline. The name of the place was I can't
I
think
think
of
it's
it.
called Stage 4 or Stage 5.
Yeah, I think so, Kim. They're actually going to turn that into a commercial indoor play area. In fact, a friend of mine, Kip Atwell, y'all know Kip,
Yeah.
he has actually approached the owners about hosting a tournament. He is very involved with Walmart, and he is gone to them about doing a benefit tournament for Children Miracle Network.
Correct.
And he was impressed with those. He met with those folks. They're really adamant about getting this thing online as soon as possible. So you're right, Bud. It's only getting bigger. Look at where y'all at out in Mandeville, that area out there. It's country club, indoor, outdoor. It's just going crazy out there.
And in the Mandeville area, all the private clubs that had big tennis followings are now all adding pickleball courts. Not to mention, we've had courts at Pelican Park now for 4 years, and Slidell is adding courts. So it's just now there's places you got to pick where you're going to go and play today.
Yeah.
Hammond has the courts at North Cypress. Oak Knoll Country Club in Hammond is now starting to put on tournaments, and I didn't even know that country club existed, but I'm looking forward to finding out more about it.
Yeah.
But Howard, Vicki and I first met you at Pard. I think that's our first meeting. When you kicked our butts, we were just learning how to play the game. And I used to love to get into games with you and David because it's like you guys just took it to us. But I learned a lot from that. And I said, man, he's a good player. That's what I'm going to strive to elevate my game, to be able to compete with him. So thanks for introducing or helping us to introduce us to the game.
You're welcome, Ken. Was that at the tournament or was that just at a fun play we were?
I think just rec play, yeah.
Yeah.
We used to go and meet Kenny and Kimberly over there.
Exactly. I remember that. Yeah.
That was in the fall of 2019, early 2020.
Right. Yeah. We've done everything we can over at our Pards location. Unlike Pards in Ponchatoula where it's free, our Pards is not pickleball friendly. They still charge way too much for guest fee, $15. And I know this is going to be aired out there, but it's common knowledge. And I think if I've told the owners, the directors, I've said, if you lower your guest fees, we would get more input with guests like you and Vicki would enjoy coming out. And Bud, that would be something y'all could do. Also, I wanted to say this about our Denham Springs area. I actually live in Watson. About a month ago, myself and a few people that live around here that play pickleball, we made a proposition to the board of directors at the Watson, it's called Live Oak Sports Complex. We made a proposition for them we had the full addendum, we had the cost, everything, to build us 8 outdoor courts. And they took it, they love it, and they said that they're going to definitely try to get something going in 2024. So
that's great.
Yeah, Bud, you saying where we're going? It's windows.
Well, Ken didn't mention it, but they're in fact going to build 4 more courts at Pelican Park.
Oh, really?
Yep. So we're gonna expand there.
It'll be next to the 8 existing?
Yes. Yep.
Wow. In fact, when I made that proposition, Bud, I actually took the drawing. I failed art, so it wasn't good, Vicki. I can tell you that. But I took the same schematic that y'all have at Pelican, except I widened the walkway. I wanted it a little wider, but the same type of situation with the 8 court, 4 on each side, and made that proposition to the board, and they liked it. They really did. It all boils down to one thing: money.
I've got to mention just one last thing. Howard and I, over the years, having conversations. My mother grew up in Mariguen, Louisiana, right near Frisco, and my grandfather, who was one of 13, had a younger brother who was also a barber in Frisco, and gave Howard his very first haircut. What a small world that is, that my great uncle,
Mr. Sam Negosha. And his haircut was so good, I still got it. That's why I wear a cap.
It was a one cut for the rest of your life.
That's a good barber, right?
For that.
I think, Bud, when Ken asked me about that, it was it makes this whole world just much closer, that to think his relative was my barber in the little town of Frisco, Louisiana. Not too many people has ever heard of Louisiana. But
that's probably the only kind of place you could have a relationship like that.
Exactly.
You get lost in Baton Rouge or New Orleans or any of the bigger cities around here.
Oh yeah.
And we both, correct me if I'm wrong, we both have family that still live in that area.
We do. Yeah, I have people in Marion. Actually, my oldest daughter now lives in Marion. Her and her husband moved out to Marion. My relatives, my first cousin, Ricky Ward, was the district attorney in Point Capee, West Baton Rouge, and Iberville. So I have family out there, and my dad was originally from out there. So, yeah.
Small world.
Small world. But you know what they don't have out there? Pickleball. They have it in New Roads. I don't know if y'all talked about that. Jody,
we want to go and see it. Yep.
Yep. Jody Cotton has pulled some strings out there, and they built 2 beautiful outdoor courts in the middle of New Road. Well, it's right off the banks of False River. It's really a great. I went out there and looked. Haven't played, but I saw it. It's a great place.
Great.
Well, I think you and Ken now have a mission, and that's to bring pickleball to Frisco and
That would be funny.
the Pickleball Express and head for it, Ken.
We'll call it the first annual mosquito pickleball tournament.
There you go. I like it.
That's what Mariguen means, is mosquito. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's terrific. Well, we love having you and Kim come and visit. We love heading out your way and playing pickleball with you guys. And we've had the opportunity to play at Jeff's house once or twice, and just always so nice to see you guys, and just love it.
Always, anytime I see you and Ken are signed up for tournaments, mixed doubles, I always go, please don't put them in my bag. Please don't put them in my bag. But it's always a pleasure to play. I tried to get her to come in here and just stick her head in, but she said, no, Yeah, she really is the reason I play, because she came on with it and got me involved with it. So Jeff,
Wonderful.
she's the one that got me started, and I'm the that's
Yeah,
fun.
really, Howard. There's a few couples out there that I think of are like, I don't know, just kind of, I don't know, like you got the first lady. It's like the first couples of pickleball. I think of Tex and Cindy. I think of you and Kim, Jim Siebert and Catherine, Ken and Vicki have become that
Yeah,
those people. You're not only worried about your game, but you're also worried about others. And
yeah,
you and Kim have always done that. Kim does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't know, but she's always very, very. She'll go and find that new player and say, "Hey, we're glad you're here," and just always encouraging really everybody at all the tournaments, and even making comments on Facebook, and just you can just tell she really is one of those sweet people in our pickleball community.
yeah. In fact, she gets told all the time by her brother, "You're too nice. You play too nice."
Yeah, yeah.
But
I don't think you play nice.
Not
me?
Howard. She ain't.
The
not
times I
Howard.
play with you, Howard, you don't play nice.
He's talking about Kim, not Howard. Howard.
Okay, I was going to say,
I'm sorry, Gil. No,
no, don't apologize. I'm glad you play like that, but you don't play nice.
no. Kim plays nice. If you ever pick up my paddle, you'll see that my nickname's on the paddle. What is it, Jeff? You've seen it.
What, the bull?
Bully. Yeah, the
Bully.
bully. Your nickname years ago. Meanie and Bully. I'm Bully, he's Meanie.
I think you're quite a bully, but you're tough, for sure.
Who we forgot and we didn't mention, the queen and king of married couples, Bob and Irene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If there's any couple out there that I really admire for their tenacity and their ability, they played over 200 tournaments this year.
Well, that's all they do.
That's
all they do. They come through Slidell on their way to play in a tournament somewhere.
And stop and
And
play.
then stop in Mandeville.
Yeah,
on the way there,
I'm
too.
serious. The times that when I played at Cross Gates and they would come play at Cross Gates, it was always they were on their way to some tournament in Tennessee or Georgia or Florida.
Well,
But they were always going to a tournament.
when they were here just a week ago for Hollowell, they didn't go home. They stayed so they could play at the state senior tournament.
There you go.
They knocked two out with one trip.
Yep.
Wow.
But
They're like a travel team,
they're a great couple. I met them.
Oh, they're great.
I met them right after we started playing and fell in love with Bob and Irene. And
Yep.
he still is. If you ever have a question about rules and regulations, call Bob. Bob is the know-it-all rule man. He knows it.
They did a great job on monitoring their courts.
Yeah, he did.
At the tournament at Halloween. They kept things going and just timed everything out and kept it rolling. They did a great job. So for them to be playing, and he was playing too, but he volunteered his time, and they
Right.
both did. They volunteered their time to help monitor courts. So
He did. Him and Irene did both. They both did it both days.
did a great job.
All right, folks, that was a great discussion with Howard. Good to hear some of his stories. But now Ken's going to bring us into a little discussion on tournament warm-up preparation.
So here's the premise. You're in a tournament. You look at your phone. It says report to court 19. You get there. You have 5 minutes to warm up. And this can also apply to rec play. You show up. You want to jump into some matches, but you should warm up first before you start. So 5 minutes to go, and I'll just put it out to the group. The point of it is to get touches on some of the things that you're going to be doing in a match. But what are the top 2, 3, 4 things, and whoever wants to jump in and start, that with only 3 to 5 minutes to go before your match, that you definitely want to do with the ball and with your partner to make sure that you're limber, you're in a ready state to play your next match? Because you've been sitting for, could be 15, 20 minutes, a half hour waiting for this match. So, Jeff?
Well, it's something that I think is really funny, and I'll let everybody talk about their own preparation, but what I think is funny in rec play and in tournament play, most people will get out on a court and they'll do 15, 20 dinks, and they'll say, okay, I'm ready. And I've been guilty of the same thing. I mean, when I get, especially rec play, when I get there, I want to play. So I'll hit 10 or 15 dinks, and then I say I'm ready. And I know that's not the right way to do it.
No. And unfortunately for me, I'm 2 hours and still saying I'm not ready. But I take a long time to warm up. But I also like warming up, having a process. And I will say that for a long, long time, Ken and I did it in our tournaments. I know I did it with other partners and definitely did it at rec play. Again, you dink 15 times or something, and then you're out on the court. You don't have any choice. If you are not doing forward and cross court, you're not warming up your body. You're not warming up your brain. It's not just a physical thing. It's getting your brain warmed up as well, and being aware with your hands, everything, movement. So even on dinks, but and then drops, everything, if you can squeeze it in to not just do your drops forward, but also then do cross court both sides, I think that's very, very valuable.
That's good stuff.
A lot of tournaments that we play in, the warm up is very short. Of course, as you go higher up in level, the pros and some of those bigger tournaments, I'm sure they give them ample time. But in our short period of time, I want to make sure and get some drop shots in, some drives with a fifth shot drop behind that. Of course, we always start with a few dinks, getting touch on the paddle. But the other thing I want to make mention here, when I'm warming up with a partner before the game, I cannot stand it when the person I'm warming up with is hitting winners on me. I'm not there to see for you to practice your putaways. We got a short amount of time, and I want to get my paddle on the ball. You could save those winners for the game. So
Vicki, I know who you're thinking of.
Well, but he really,
I've
Bud,
actually got more than one these days. I got more than one.
Even when I'm warming my partner up, I want to give them balls, and I want them to get balls in rhythm, see those drop shots going over, not me smashing a winner on them and them hitting it in the net. So just something to think about. And then the last thing I like to do is get some quick hands in and just, again, controlled. I don't need you hitting winners on me. Let's just control the ball back and forth to try to get our eyes going. That's kind of my warm-up routine, especially when it's rushed.
Well, these warm-ups are really cooperative drills is the point you're trying to make. They're not competitive drills. That's just it. And one thing that, from what the research I did, the experts say, if you're the first two people on the court, get your cross-dinking in first. Yes. Because the second the other two people come on the court, you'll kind of be forced to go down the line. So try to get your cross-dinking in if you're the first two to walk onto the court. But you're right, fast hands, dinking, cross-dinking, and even working baseline and transition, just trying to replicate some of the shots that you're going to be hitting in the game. And you almost have to time out 30 seconds. If you're going to try to get it under 3 or 4, 5 minutes to touch the ball in the different spots on the court. So
I know it's important for me to hit a couple of serves too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I will, if I don't practice my serve a couple of times, I will invariably fault the first 2 or 3 times that I serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like Ken. You brought up a real good point, and I was actually going to talk about that in a little bit later, but we covered it. It's great. You'll see that predominantly. I see it predominantly in fun play, recreational play. You get out on the court, they've already played, and you're standing there trying to warm up, and they go, "You ready? Y'all ready? You ready?" Push, and the next thing you hit 4 shots, and they go, "You ready? Okay, let's go." To heck with, excuse the expression, to hell with all your warming up. So,
let's play.
Let's play. Some of them have that mentality. So yeah, it's quite.
Sometimes Vicki and I have had to go off onto one of the far courts, away from the crowd of players, just to kind of make it obvious that we want to spend a little bit of time warming up and not just jump into that first match. I mean, we did more of that in previous times than we have more recent times.
Yeah.
Another thing that's important, if you got wind, if you got wind, try if you can, if you have enough time, hit from both sides of the court and try to get a feel for what's going on there with the wind, because you don't know, flip of the coin, choosing one or two, you don't know what side you're going to be on. And if you just warmed up into the wind or with the wind at your back or whatever, you could be in trouble trying to make those adjustments in your first game instead of kind of getting a feel for it when you're warming up.
Yeah. Good point, Jeff. Good point.
What were you going to say, Howard?
I was just going to say, I know in tournaments that I've played in the past, what I like to try to do at any time, and like Ken said, sometimes you get called, especially these sanctioned tournaments. I was up in St. Louis and I got called to go to court 243. I thought I was going to have to call an Uber to get me over there. This place was huge, but it was immense. But between games, we would just jump on any kind of court we could and just try to stay active and try to stay as much as mobile, because y'all well know when you're playing a tournament like that, if you sit for a long time, I'm done. I mean, the legs, the muscles, and all. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's important to stay active when you're even at a tournament. Try to stay active as much as possible. I know the waits are long, but you got to try to stay active.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even if you have the parking lot, dink in the parking lot. Sometimes tournaments have temporary nets set up in the parking lot. Just go out there and...
Ken, that's a good point. That when we played at Halloween, my partner, who probably has played as long as Howard, Jeannie Bruton, she insisted that we go off and hit balls at each other on the sidewalk just to warm up.
Yeah.
And hey, it was a good idea.
Yeah, the only risk is getting hurt, though. And I always say that at least do some stretches.
Absolutely.
Your body warmed up a little bit, because we sometimes just get right on the court and think that we can do things that our bodies are not ready to do.
But hopefully those are the kind of things you do before you ever walk on a court.
Right.
Do your stretching, and I flail my arms around and loosen my shoulders up. What I try to do.
Absolutely. And if you do that before every match, if it's part of your 5-minute thing, or if you feel like, gosh, it's getting close, stand up, do a lot of those warm-ups, get your body warmed up before you even walk on the court. But Ken, you had brought up something interesting too in that research that you did, and that was that your opponent sometimes can be a little intimidated. And I think they recommended, ironically, to start out with, if your opponents are there, start out with fast hands as opposed to something else, just because your opponents are like, whoa.
Wow, you mean there's some psychology behind warming up?
Vicki,
really warming up seriously here. So,
the article that I read, fast hands not only gets you ready, but it also can be intimidating to your partner. You know?
I never thought of that. I never thought of that.
Controlled, fast but controlled manner. It's like, wow.
That's a good point. It really is.
I love this. I'm taking notes. Hands intimidates.
You don't need to worry about that, Howard.
And some people do have the theory of, we're used to, when we're doing our dinks, doing it very controlled. And of course, doing it head on controlled is, I think, really important. But moving your partner back and forth, not just putting it right in front of them the entire time, because it's not what you want to do in the match. So you don't want to warm up doing something that you don't plan on doing. But the bigger thing with going cross court as well was that you can move each other around a little bit, do it a little bit more competitively, not to the point like you're going to annoy Jeff and win the warm up. That's not the point there. It is to be close, so that it's just one step either way, and it is very controlled, but it is a little bit more competitive than just standing straight up and just dinking it back and forth. It's a little more active, so the body's more active as well.
Hey, if I can, I don't want to jump off the road, but Vicki brought up something, and I wanted to, maybe not the right time, but I'm going to say it anyway, bud. During Halloween, I told Jeff this. You remember Vicki just said something about staying low and bending those knees? I was watching both the men and the women. Guess which ones were the lowest? Who stayed the lowest? Down. Player. The women. The women.
I was going to say
the
women.
the women.
Uh-huh.
You women were just always the advanced teams were always low, and I admired that. I just said,
Mhm.
us guys, we just stand there like trees, standing straight up, big targets. But you ladies, y'all get down, and that's something us
Mhm.
guys we need to think about.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
it's a
Good
good
point.
point.
Good point. All right. Well, that was a great discussion on getting warmed up for your tournament play. And now it's time for Jeff's Burr Under My Saddle.
You're burr under my saddle. Your thorn sticking in my side.
All right. So 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had a first. We had Johnny Vinicio on, and he said he had a burr under his saddle, so we turned it over to him as a guest. And I'm gonna do the same thing again this week. Being we got Howard on, we're gonna pick his brain a little bit and see if there's anything bothering him. So take it away, Howard.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Guys, when Jeff asked me if I had a burr under my saddle, I'm sure, like the rest of you, there's always something that comes up that just, like you said, just is a burr in your saddle, whether it's line calls or people not playing right or whatever. What I came up with is really not a burr under my saddle, but sometimes it's a burr under a lot of people's saddle. And what I'm talking about, you're in open or recreational play and you're stacking paddles, and the court comes open and you grab your paddle, and as you turn to go to the court, you look, and here comes this player, and he tells you, "Be patient with me. I've only started playing last week." And you're waiting for 20 or 30 minutes to play. It happens. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, oh, waited so long, and now I have this very weak player. What if, guys, and if there's anything we can do, and I think this, I'm going to reflect this back to Jeff, because Jeff, if y'all don't know, Jeff history is he's a teacher. He was a teacher at one time, a coach, and now he's actually still teaching people how to fish. Jeff does it very good, and that's when new people are on the court. He doesn't look at it as a problem or something he's going to not enjoy. He works with that individual. So as we players, and we're going to see it from time to time, we're going to get out there with weak players. We should take that opportunity to say, hey, if I can quote this, what it says, remember where you come from. I remember where I came from. I remember the first time I had a paddle. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So remember where we come from. Be patient with that person. Try to talk to them. Teach them a few little skills that are needed in the game. Work on your game. Work on. Kim tells me all the time we're at Pards. Pards, where we play, is very intermediate. I call it the badminton club, because all they do is go bink, 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 bink. They don't dink or anything like that. So what I try to do is I try to work on dinking and slowing the game down. Jeff told me that a long time ago. Howard, just work on your game. Work on slowing the game down. And that's what I try to do. I try to work on my shots. As you well know, I don't have a backhand, do I, Jeff?
Sometimes.
But mostly it's this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is I try to work on my backhand and this type of thing. So getting back to what we're saying is, when we're working with weaker players, and I pull this off, don't be overly aggressive. Try to explain some things to them, but not too much, because if you try to too much in these young new people, it's overwhelming. But don't ever look at it, and I'm just as guilty as anybody when I get on the court. Gosh, I'm with somebody. What we need to do is look at his opportunity. Look at where we came from. So take that opportunity sometimes to slow your game down. Work on some of the things you need to work with. Teach that younger person or that person that's learning, hey, that's what we got pickleball for. It's for the fun. So that's my burr under my saddle.
Leave it
Good
to
job.
Howard. He takes over Burr Under My Saddle, and in 25 episodes sets a record for the longest burr. That was a damn tallow tree under his saddle. So good job, Howard.
You didn't give me a time, Lane.
It was a flock of birds.
All right.
It was a flock of burrs.
All right, Howard, thanks for that burr under my saddle. And now it's
Hey, bud, I've got a shout out. All righty. I just have two shout outs. One quick one is to the gentleman named David who played this morning. Shout out to you. He is a full-time RVer who just travels around and tries to drum up games, pickleball games, wherever he goes. He and his wife just travel throughout the United States, and they had visited the area once before. It's been a while, but he warmed up a long time. We were doing drills, and he warmed up a long time by himself. I watched him, what a trooper he was. He'd hit the ball up by himself, let it bounce, and then he'd go for a shot. Hit the ball up, and he had a whole routine that he did by himself. But he kept saying how he wasn't sure he was going to be able to fit in. And so when I asked him if he wanted to come in and drill with us, he said, "No, I'll continue warming up, but I will maybe join in for games." I said, "Okay, I'll let." And of course he did. And Bud, if you agree with me, I mean, you may agree with me, you may not. He was a great player. He was
Turned out to be pretty good.
He was solid. I mean, he really did. And their match was 8-8, 9-9, 10. Then it was 11-9. I think they won. But just a really good player and a very nice man. And he was very grateful because he was by himself. So welcome back to Mandeville, and we're glad to have you. And hopefully you'll have some more experiences out there. My second shout out is just to all those people who are playing in the tournament this weekend. We have a fundraiser tournament coming up at Pelican Park this weekend. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's doing that. We've been trying to help them get this thing off the ground. And it is a fundraiser, so it's always nice to see people sign up and chime in and help out. So hopefully they'll have a great day and have a lot of fun. And that's it, Bud. Back to you.
All right. Well, anybody have anything else they'd like to throw out to the crew?
Glad you joined us, Howard. It was fun to have you aboard.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Howard.
Thank y'all for having me. I really, really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, good. We'll hope to see you back.
All right. Howard, from me, thanks. And it's time to say goodnight. So say goodnight, everybody. Good night. Hey, from the Pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments, and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again, and see you next week.